boy called Bat. Now, I don't know how you feel about skunks, but I do love them. I think they're beautiful. And you know when they squirt, it's only because they are afraid and they're trying to defend themselves. So, in this book, we're going to see what's gonna happen, right? When a veterinarian brings home a baby skunk, a boy called Bat, written by Elena Arnold, with pictures by Charles Santoso. Chapter 1. After school, Bixby Alexander Tam stared into the refrigerator, trying to decide what to eat. He knew that the longer he took, the more energy he was wasting. And Bixby Alexander Tam did not like to waste energy. But he also didn't like to eat leftovers or cheese that had to be sliced or any of the yogurt flavors in the fridge. Bat, close the refrigerator door, yelled his sister Janie from the kitchen table, where she sat cutting out pictures from a pile of old magazines. Janie, he was sure, had eaten all the lemon and vanilla yogurts, and she knew he only liked the creamy ones, not the fruit on the bottom kind. Bat was what almost everyone called Bixby Alexander Tam. Bat was what almost everyone called Bixby Alexander Tam for a couple of reasons. First, because the initials of his name, B-A-T, spelled bat. But there were many other reasons. Bat's sensitive hearing, for one. He didn't like loud sounds. What was so unusual about that? And if Janie's old earmuffs happened to make an outstanding muffling device, was it that funny if he liked to wear them? There was also the way he sometimes flapped his hands when he was nervous or excited or thinking about something interesting. Some of the kids at school seemed to think that was hilarious. And of course, bats have wings, which they flap. So, between the initials and the earmuffs and the hand flapping, the nickname had stuck. And truthfully, Bat didn't mind. Animals were his very favorite thing, better even than vanilla yogurt. Janie, did you eat all the vanillas? Not all of them, Janie answered. She curved the scissors around the bent arm of the boy she was cutting out. I saw you eat at least 2 or 3 of them. Did you eat the last vanilla? Yes, said Janie, and with a final snip, she freed the shiny paper boy. It was delicious. Of course, it was delicious. All the vanillas were delicious. Well, said Bat, closing the refrigerator door a little harder than he needed to. Now there's nothing to eat. Uh-oh. I wouldn't say there's nothing to eat, teased Janie. She knew she wasn't supposed to tease him. Well, I would, said Bat. Nothing I want to eat. Then you must not be very hungry. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, after Mom drove Bat home from school, she had to go back to work for a couple more hours. It was Janie's job to watch Bat. Thursdays were the hardest, and today was a Thursday. Make me a snack, Bat demanded. Make me a snack what? Make me a snack now. No, said Janie. Make me a snack, please. I don't have to say please, said Bat. Making me an after school snack is part of your job. You don't have to say please to get someone to do their job. You do if you want them to do it well, said Janie. But she pushed back the magazines and stood up. Bat felt his elbows beginning to bend. He felt his hands getting ready to flap. I'm hungry, he said again. His voice sounded higher. Okay, okay, said Janie. Don't fly away. I'll fix your peanut butter and jelly. Without the crusts, Bat said. He felt better already. Chapter 2. Bat's Cave. After finishing his snack, Bat went to his room. Bat's room was his favorite place in the whole world. In his room, Bat felt completely comfortable. Here, he knew where everything was. If something was in the wrong place, it was his own fault because no one messed with his room but him. In the rest of their small house, Bat's mom and sister knew to put anything that needed to go to Bat's room in one of three baskets: his clean laundry basket, his book basket, and his miscellaneous stuff basket. Miscellaneous was a great word and one of Bat's favorites. It meant all the extra stuff. So the miscellaneous stuff basket could have almost anything except clean laundry and books in it. When the baskets were full, Mom placed them in the hallway outside Batsy's door. He took them into his room and unloaded them himself. Once, Mom had tried to reorganize his dresser drawers because she thought he could use some help. After, when he was so upset he couldn't even speak, she said, I'm sorry, Bat, but your drawers were just a mess. Your hats mixed in with pants and sweaters. I don't know how you find anything. But the drawers weren't a mess. Not at all. If Mom had looked more closely, she would have seen that his knit caps were in with his long pants and his sweaters because he always wore those things together on cold days. Short and t-shirts were in other drawer because he wore those things together on warm days. But what about this drawer? Mom had asked, pulling open the bottom right drawer, which held a pair of pants, a wool sweater, and two t-shirts. Those are the things I never wear, Bat told her when he finally calmed down, because they are itchy and uncomfortable. Then Mom cut the tags out of the t-shirts and Bat moved them to his warm days drawer. After that, Mom left him to his own devices, as she liked to say. Once in his room, Bat closed the door. There was a sign on the outside that said, Please knock. Janie had written it for him because her writing was much neater than his. Janie could do all the hand things better than Bat. Write things, cut things out, smooth peanut butter on bread. The clock told Bat that Mom would be home in 46 minutes. Mom was a veterinarian, which was what Bat intended to be too one day. Mostly, she treated cats and dogs, but sometimes she had unusual patients. Once, she had taken a BB pellet out of the wing of a hawk. The pellet had broken one of the bones, and Mom had done surgery to mend it. She brought home x-rays to show Bat. Why would anyone shoot a hawk? Bat had asked, "Do you think they were going to eat it?" "No," said Mom. "Sometimes people do stupid things." She had been very angry about the hawk, angrier even than when Bat and Janie got into loud screaming fights. Seeing the x-ray of the hawk's broken wing made Bat angry too. But his room always made him feel better. It had a roll down bamboo window shade and a fine closet full of shelves and a pull out trundle in case someday a friend came to spend the night. It had a ceiling fan and a reading lamp and a rug with a picture of a train track printed on it. Bat felt like looking through his animal encyclopedia, which he often did after school, so he pulled it down from the bookshelf and dropped comfortably onto his beanbag. His stomach was full of sandwich, and Mr. Grayson hadn't assigned any homework. For this moment, at least, Bat felt perfectly content. Chapter 3. No vanilla yogurt. Mom was supposed to be home by 5 o'clock, but 5 o'clock came and Mom did not arrive. By 5:15, Bat wanted to call the police. "That's what we're supposed to do in case of emergency," he said to Janie. She was watching TV. "This isn't an emergency, Bat." "How do you know? It might be an emergency. You don't know for sure that it is not an emergency." "Bat, call Mom's phone if you are so worried." Bat didn't want to call Mom's phone. What if she was driving and she answered when he called and then she crashed the car? "I don't want to cause an emergency," he said. "Well, if you had any friends to play with," Janie said, "you could hang out with them on Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of being a pain in my neck." Bat thought this was unfair and also mean, considering that he was so worried. But before he could say anything, he heard Mom's car turn in the driveway. A warm rush of relief flooded over him. He left Jamie in front of the TV and ran outside. "Mom," he said, "you're late." "Easy, Bat," Mom said, climbing out of the car. "No need to be angry." Bat wasn't angry. Not really. He was relieved. But instead of explaining this, Bat asked, "Did you go to the grocery store and get more vanilla yogurt?" "I didn't have time," Mom said. That was the last straw. Mom was late and Bat was worried, and now no vanilla yogurt? Bat felt a ball of anger rising up in his chest, hot and hard and loud, wanting to escape through his mouth in a yell. His eyes squinted together and his hands drew up tight against the sides of his body. Mom put her hand on his shoulder and knelt down so he could look right into Bat's eyes. But Bat didn't want to look at her eyes. He didn't want her eyes looking at him. "Calm down, Bat," Mom said in her soothing voice, the one she saved for when Bet was getting really upset. "It's okay. I had a good reason for not going to the grocery store. If you calm yourself down, I can tell you what it is." Bat didn't care what Mom's reason was. She should have gone to the store. She knew how much he liked vanilla yogurt, and it was her job to buy it for him. Bat didn't have any money or a car. If Mom didn't buy him yogurt, there would be no yogurt. But then Mom said it was because of an animal, a baby animal. Chapter 4. Is it a... What kind of animal? Asked Bat. You'll see, Mom answered. She walked around to the back of the station wagon and opened the door. Is it a puppy? Asked Bat. You'll see, Mom answered, taking out a cardboard box with air holes poked into the top. Is it a kitten? Bat asked as he followed her to the front door. You'll see, Mom answered. Is it a duckling? Bat asked as he bounced up and down, hands flapping excitedly. You'll see, Mom answered. Open the door for me, okay? Bat pushed open the front door. Is it a hoglet? Mom laughed. Where would I get a baby hedgehog? I don't know, Bat said. Then he had an awful thought. Is it a baby human? Mom walked into the living room. Janie, still watching the TV, called out, Hey, you're late. I know, Mom said to Janie. And then she said to Bat, Bat, honey, I wouldn't put a baby human in a cardboard box. And anyway, would a baby human be so bad? Yes, said Bat firmly. Well, it's not a baby human, said Mom. Now Jamie was interested. She got up to have a closer look. What's in the box? She asked. Mom brought home a baby animal, Bat yelled in a rush, trying to be the one to tell Janie. And that way she'd know that he had known about it first. Geez, Bat, don't scream in my face. 12 inches, remember? Bat was supposed to stay at least 12 inches away from Jamie when he talked to her. She didn't like it when he got too close. There were lots of rules when it came to Janie. How did you do on that math test? Mom asked Janie. Did the chart we made help? Bat bounced up and down on the balls of his feet, pulling the collar of his shirt into his mouth and sucking on the fabric. They were going to talk about math test now? Mom, he groaned. Okay, she said. We can talk about math later. Come on, let's go into the kitchen. There's someone I want you to meet. Chapter 5. A tiny pink nose. Mom set the box on the kitchen table. Is it sleeping? Bat asked, his voice a whisper. Probably, Mom said. Babies sleep most of the time. What is it? Janie asked. Bat, do you want to open the lid? Bat didn't answer. He was too excited. Very carefully, he lifted the lid of the box and peered inside. Janie stood behind him, breathing on his ear. You're breathing on my ear, Bat said. Janie ignored him. It's just a bunch of rags, she said. Mom walked around to the far side of the round table and reached into the box. She scooped up the pile of material and sat down. Look. Bat watched as Mom shifted the towel in her arms. A nose peeked out, a tiny pink nose, and then two slanted closed eyes, a forehead covered in downy fuzz, little ears still curled tight against its head. Janie began. Is it It's a kit, Bat said, enchanted by the tiny creature, wanting so badly to hold it. A baby skunk. Oh, Mom, Janie said, I can't believe you brought home a skunk. I had to, Mom said, rubbing the skunk's little forehead with her thumb. He's an orphan. Oh, breathed Janie. She leaned in closer, blocking Bat's view. How old is he? You're in my way, Bat said loudly, and he pushed Janie's arm to make room for himself. But, Mom said, you need to stay calm around the skunk kid, okay? You don't want to scare him. Bat didn't want to scare the skunk kid. He wanted to hold the skunk kid, maybe even feed and care for the skunk kid. But his sister was standing in his way. Move, Janie, he hissed at her as quietly as he could hiss. Oh, why don't you both sit down? Mom said. I'll tell you all about him. Janie plopped down into the chair on Mom's right, so Bat went around to the other side and sat in the chair on her left. He scooted the chair as close to Mom's as he could. The kid was still tucked into the towel, only his little face visible. Eyes closed, he opened his mouth in a yawn, his tiny pink tongue arching out. Mom said, Bat, do you remember when we smelled that skunk on the way to school this morning? Bat did remember. They had smelled it just after they pulled off their street, Plum Lane, and onto the Anderson Road. He had smelled it, and Mom had smelled it too. Bat had craned his neck, looking out each window carefully. He'd seen lots of people on bicycle. They lived near a college, and the students mostly rode bikes to class. And he'd seen other cars and some people on foot. It was the beginning of spring, but it was still cold, so he had seen lots of hats and scarves. He'd seen an American flag on a flagpole in front of the post office. He'd seen a red bus, and he'd seen a sign that read, Welcome to Quincy, a bike friendly town. But he had not seen a skunk. Bat nodded. I remember. Well, unfortunately, the skunk we smelled but didn't see was the mama skunk. A car hit her, and a couple of college students brought her to my office in the basket of a bike. She was there waiting for me after I dropped you off at school, injured and very pregnant. Is she okay? I wish I could say she is, Mom answered Jamie. I wasn't able to save the mother or the other baby kids. Only this one lived. I was able to check the mother for diseases though, and luckily she wasn't sick, which is a good sign. The kid isn't sick either. That's awesome, Bat said. Bat, said Janie loud and sharp. The kid twitched and shifted, scared by Janie's voice. How can you say it's awesome? The mom died. The other babies died. Bat didn't mean that it was awesome that the other skunks had died. Of course, that wasn't awesome. He'd meant it was awesome that this kid had lived. But it wasn't worth it to try to explain to Jamie what he meant. She usually misunderstood Bat. Most everyone did. Can I? Bat reached out for the kid, wanting so badly to hold him that his fingers twitched. We can't keep him, Mom warned. There's a wild animal rescue center that we can give him to in about a month, but they are too busy to take him just yet. So we can help him get bigger and stronger before we hand him over to the experts. They will raise him until he's ready to be released into the wild when he's about 5 months old. Then she passed the tiny kit, wrapped in towels, into Bat's arms. The kit was so small that Bat couldn't even tell he was in the towel, except for the tiny face that peeked out. He cradled the bundle in his arms. He felt his face stretch into a wide smile, so wide it made his cheeks sore. Chapter 6, Skunk Lunch. Can it spray yet? Janie asked. No, Mom answered. Soon he will be able to. But when skunks are babies, they can't spray as strongly as the adults. Bat realized that he didn't know a lot about skunks. He knew they sprayed the stinky smell to protect themselves, and he knew they were mammals, and he knew they were omnivores because they ate bugs and smaller animals and plants too. But he didn't know very much more than that. He decided to learn everything about skunks. What are we going to feed him? Bat asked. Can I do it? He's too little to eat yet, so we need to feed him formula. They don't make skunk formula, so we use puppy formula. It's the closest thing to mother skunk milk. Janie stood up. It's a cute skunk, Mom, but I want to go over to Ezra's house, okay? Okay, Mom said. Be back in an hour. Ezra lived 3 houses up the block and had been Janie's best friend since before Bat was born. Janie loved Ezra. She thought he was funny and smart and creative. Bat didn't love Ezra. He thought Ezra was loud and annoying and a mean tease. Sometimes when Janie went to play at Ezra's house, it bothered Bat that he wasn't invited and that there wasn't a house he was invited to visit where Janie didn't go. But right now, he didn't care about Ezra or about anything other than feeding the skunk kid. Goodbye, he said to Janie without taking his eyes off the baby skunk's tiny face. The skunk was yawning and licking his lips with the world's tiniest, pinkest tongue. Janie laughed. Mom said, Okay, but sit right here and I'll get the formula. She went to her bag and pulled out a can, like a soda can, but with a picture of a puppy on it. Mom shook it and cracked it open and dipped the syringe inside, pulling the plunger up. Bat watched it fill with a thick white liquid. We only give him a few drops at a time, Mom said, carrying the full syringe back over to the table. Watch me do it first. She took the skunk and arranged him on her lap, one hand on his back and under his front legs to hold him upright, the other hand aiming the syringe full of formula at his mouth. The skunk seemed to know what was about to happen and twitched his little pink nose back and forth eagerly. Mom slowly pushed down on the plunger, and Bat watched a thick white droplet of puppy formula pushed through the hole at the end of the syringe. The skunk tipped back his chin and opened his mouth, licking eagerly at it. What a good little baby, Mom crooned, pressing more formula into his mouth. I want to feed him. Let me feed him. I want to feed him, Bat said. Okay, okay. Mom handed the skunk back to Bat. He tried to hold the skunk the way Mom had, and then took the syringe in his other hand. Very slowly, Mom warned him, and finally it was Bat's turn. As slowly as he could, he pressed down on the plunger, aiming the syringe tip at the baby skunk's mouth, and it worked. The skunk's little pink tongue lapped at the formula. Droplets gathered at the corners of his mouth, and some ran down his chin onto the towel, but most of it made it into the baby skunk. I'm doing it, Bat whispered. I'm feeding him. You sure are, Mom said. Bat knew he was doing a messier job of it than Mom had done, but the baby skunk didn't seem to mind. I love him, Bat said. He hadn't meant to say it out loud. Mom laughed. Careful, or you might make me jealous, she said. But it's true, Bat said. I love him. Mom said they would have to hand the kit over to the rescue center in a month. But Bat, holding the tiny animal in his arms, made a silent promise that he would figure out a way to keep him.